Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mally and today we're going to be talking about my favorite comfort movies. I thought this would be very fitting because I feel like the past month or so, I don't know if I've been experiencing seasonal depression or what. I've just been honestly very down in the depths. The last stretch of 2023 has been nothing short of outlandish, ghetto, and inappropriate. So I haven't been recording because of that alone. I just haven't been in the best of spirits, and anytime I do record, I want to feel like I'm in the best of spirits, so it feels like a vibe and it doesn't feel like a strain of sorts. So that's why there haven't been any new videos. But that being said, I thought what a great opportunity to show y'all some of my favorite comfort movies. Now, I must disclaim, I do have a list of comfort movies that are more on the unhinged side. And I say unhinged just because I guess the genre alone and I guess people's reaction when I tell them like, oh yes, comfort movie right off the top. And I think it's just because of the genre, because it's not necessarily a movie that is supposed to give you comfort, if that makes any sense. So what I've done was I've separated everything into a few categories. It's really just three. So we have unhinged, we have cheesy, and cringe. So those are going to be like mostly romantical movies, and just movies that overall I guess provide some sort of cringe but also comfort. And then we just have normal movies that I guess it's like if I were to tell you it's a comfort movie, you'd be like, oh, that's completely appropriate because of the genre, how the movie ends, even if it gives you good vibes. It's supposed to give you good vibes. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, starting off, what should we do? I think we should do normal, cheesy, unhinged. No, fuck it, we're gonna go straight to unhinged. Okay, so starting off, we have It Chapter 1, Paranormal Activity, literally all of them except the ghost dimension. That one just wasn't giving me the ooh-ah sensation that I needed. Jeepers Creepers 2, Bodies, Phantom of the Opera, but only the, I guess it's not really a movie per se, but it's not the movie with, how do you say her name? Emmy Rossum and Gerald Butler, but it's the play, like the Royal Albert Hall one. And I want to know the actresses' names, but I don't, not off the top of my head. But that I watched 10 times over. And let me tell you, we had to read the play when I was in high school, and I was like, no, I was like, I'm absolutely not reading this. I'm not reading this. It seems dumb. And then I remember we had a final for it. And the day of the final, I was trying to find like some quick notes, something. What is that? I can't remember what it's called. There was a set of notes. Like it's a website, and I think it was called Quick Notes, where it kind of just had like the summary of each chapter, or had the summary of what the movie or play was about. I couldn't find it, so I was like, okay, let me just try to watch the play real quick. And it, at the time, the Royal Albert Hall one was on Netflix, so I started watching it and immediately felt like an asshole because I was like, this whole time it was so good, and I was just being a lazy teenager not wanting to learn something and was trying to find the easy way out. And that was probably one time in my academic history that I was like, I would have actually enjoyed learning about this, and became obsessed with it. Like, I became obsessed with it afterwards, like way after the final, way after high school. Like it till this day is one of my favorite plays. Moving forward. Okay, and then we have Zola, Death Proof, and Deep Blue Sea. Zola is like really up there. That's like one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you're a Twitter person or if you were on Twitter at the time, but there was this woman, Zola, who was an exotic dancer, and she's basically explaining a trip that she had with a newly found friend, and she's explaining it in a series of tweets, and the tweets themselves are fucking hilarious. The movie itself is fucking hilarious, but although how she's explaining it is very funny, the situation that she's in is actually terrifying. And I think it's like, for me, my definition of a true dark comedy is just, like I said, how she's explaining what's going on. You're like, oh, this is really funny, but is actually really kind of scary and really fucked up. But I loved the movie because one, the actors did so good. The actors and actresses did so good. The cast itself was amazing. The just how everything was, it was just my favorite because it was so pretty, I guess you could say. Like, I like the aesthetic of the movie itself. It feels very chill. Our main character is very relaxed and very chill the entire time, regardless of being in what I would consider a very real life scary situation. And I like it so much, and it's a comfort movie for me because I think it was like the first movie in a really long time that made me feel something, like that made me feel like, oh shit, what the fuck is about to happen. The trailer itself for the movie was extremely vague, so I didn't know what was going on. I wasn't familiar with the tweets beforehand. I didn't read the tweets until after the movie, or after seeing the movie, and it was just craziness. It was absolutely craziness. So it's like with the tweets and the movie, obviously it's a movie, so there were a lot of things that did and didn't happen, but most of it was true to the original story of how everything kind of played out. And 10 out of 10 recommend. I know it's good because I got it on DVD. Anytime I'm obsessed with the movie, I always get it on DVD. So Zola is definitely up there. Death Proof is a Quentin Tarantino movie. That one was one of my favorites too, or it's still one of my favorites because it's like a girl power movie. And for me, I guess overall it is a feel good movie. It is just it's a Quentin Tarantino movie, you know what I mean? So it's a little gory, but I like it because it's so... It keeps you moving. It keeps you moving. Like the first half of the movie, we're introduced to a set of characters, and then those characters get swiped away, and then we're introduced to new characters. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of moving going on. It's funny. It's drama. Not really drama. It's more like funny and action. So it's a really good time. I like it a lot, and I like how the movie progresses because it doesn't feel like you're necessarily watching a movie. And I think because we have two sets of characters, and it's like you're watching it, you become invested in the first set of characters, and then whoa, they all fucking die, and then you're left with the second set of characters, and you have to get not comfortable or reacquainted with them, but it's like you're invested in one storyline and then you're introduced to another storyline, but it's all the same movie, and it was the tits. I really loved it. So now we have Deep Blue Sea, and Deep Blue Sea is one of the movies, any movie that I list that was before I was born or like when I was a kid, those ones for me are comfort movies because they remind me of my childhood, and they just remind me of those vibes of sitting down, watching a movie, sometimes on VHS, sometimes on DVD, and just being like, what the hell am I watching? And Deep Blue Sea was one of them. So Deep Blue Sea is about, it's about a group of scientists, and they're specifically, I guess, like animal scientists or aquamarine scientists. Is saying aquamarine, like, is that redundant? Anyways, so it's a group of scientists, and they're working with an experimental drug, and they're experimenting the drug on sharks, which for me, I look at this and I'm like, why sharks? Why sharks of all animals to experiment a drug on? Like, don't we want to experiment this on something that's a little bit more related to humans? Like at least a mammal, but a shark? How in the fuck does that relate to humans in any way? But anyways, so the experimental drug is to help get rid of or prevent Alzheimer's. And so basically they give these sharks the drugs. It makes the sharks super fucking smart, and then the sharks just kill them, like just one by one start killing them off. Like, at least if I were to do an experimental drug on animals, which I wouldn't, okay, I would probably do it on something, and it's a drug that makes them smarter. I would probably do it with like literal, like something I could, you know what I mean? Something I could deck. How do you deck a shark? The buoyancy of the water, like it's just too much. Like, they have gills, and if I'm in the water, the facility was on the water. So my thing is like, y'all don't have gills, y'all could drown. And y'all decided to make these the smart, like you decided to make these animals really, really smart. Because it's like, okay, you make a rat or a guinea pig real smart, like All you gotta do is, you know what I mean? Like, you know, no animal cruelty here, but, you know, if they became serial killers and tried to kill everybody, you know, just a quick little, that'll set them straight. But a shark in water as a human, like, it just seems like one of those things that just wasn't gonna mix well. Okay, so now we're off to our cheesy and cringe comfort movies. So on this list we have Revenge of the Bridesmaids, 50 Shades of Grey, and you know what, before I continue on in the list, you know what, fuck it, okay? I don't want to get any looks from anybody. You just gotta bear with me here. Sierra Burgess is a Loser. Yes, that's one of my favorite cheesy comfort movies. I like the vibe of the movie. I don't know what to tell y'all. It is extremely problematic, and I don't condone anything that the movie is about. We've talked about this. However, the vibe of the movie is very chill. And I can get into it. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's one of those movies that I watch to hate, but also to watch because the vibe is chill. Like I said, I didn't have any problems with the movie until the very end. But we know, watch the video, watch the video. We already know why I don't like it, but I never got to talk about the things that I did like about it, and it's the aesthetic and the vibe. Twilight, again, I know, but it's a comfort movie. I don't know what to tell you. I really like the aesthetic because it's like super dark, or it's like it's very gray and it's not super bright colors, and I don't know why, but it just kind of melts in my depressive state whenever I'm in it, and it just feels like a vibe. And it's like, okay, cool, it melts with my depressive state. And not only that, the dialogue is just so hard to watch it and not be like, what the fuck. Any Hallmark Christmas movie, and just really any Christmas movie at all, especially the ones where there's like a romance, and it's just life-giving for me. 50 Shades of Grey is on this list as well, because at the time that 50 Shades of Grey came out, can I do a quick let me do a quick story time about 50 Shades of Grey and how I ended up reading the books at an extremely young age and watching the movies and being absolutely obsessed with it all through high school. And this is very vulnerable for me, so just bear with me here, okay? So the first time that I heard of 50 Shades of Grey, I think I was watching, what is that dude called? He's a comedian, and he has like a talk show. It was on Comedy Central. I think his name is something Colbert, and I feel bad for not knowing his name, but he was talking about 50 Shades of Grey, and I literally just heard it in passing. I just heard the name 50 Shades of Grey, didn't think twice about it. I was just like, okay, like, and it didn't ring anything in me. Like, I wasn't like, oh, I gotta read that book, or I gotta know what this is about. I literally just heard the name 50 Shades of Grey. So then I'm hanging out with my cousin's wife, and she's like, oh, talking to my older sister, and she's like, oh yeah, 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades of Grey. And I was like, oh, I think I heard of that, like they were talking about it on TV or something, just trying to relate to the conversation. And she was like, she was like, I doubt that they were talking about that on TV. And I was like, bitch, they were. I'm not crazy. And so I was like, why would she say that she doubted that they were talking about it on TV? What is this book about? So then I purchased it and read it and was like, oh, but they were talking about it on TV. It was a big deal at the time. And I'm honestly not sure why 50 Shades of Grey was so, I don't want to say it was bad, but it was bad. There were a lot of things wrong with it. It was just a bad movie, I think, because it had a lot of problematic shit going on, and I wasn't a fan of it. I mean, I was a fan of it, but like as an adult, I was like, why was I so obsessed with this shit? And it's good for smut purposes alone, like if you're just into that type of thing, but it was done in the most problematic way. And I feel like there are so many other ways that they could have done this movie. Like, my man's Christian Grey had so many red flags, so many problems, so many issues, and Anna really sat there and was like, the BDSM part is the problem. The BDSM is the biggest red flag that he could have had. And I'm like, girl, no, that's not the biggest red flag that there was, and that was the one that was giving her the most grievance. Like, for real? For real. And it kind of pissed me off, if I'm being honest. Because my thing is this, and I don't mean to digress, okay? I'll try my best not to digress during this, but my thing was like, girly pop, Like, he literally sat there and said, we're only going to do whatever you're comfortable with. And she was like, but I just don't understand why we have to do it at all. And then it's like, my thing is, it's like, and it's perfectly fine that she didn't want to do all of that. That's totally her preference. That's totally her, you know what I mean? Whatever you're comfortable doing sexually is whatever you're comfortable doing sexually. But my thing is also, why would you lay up with this man if you knew that that's not what you were into? And then this is where they got me, because I was like, yo, she didn't want that type of a relationship, and that's what she got at the end, because I was like convinced. I was like, I can change a man if he isn't how I want him to be. After that, and mind you, how old was I when I read this? 14, 15. So it shouldn't count against me, I feel, for thinking that. You know, I feel like there was a reason that it was made for adults, but then again, there was the Twilight version of it, and somebody explained to me that Twilight, that 50 Shades of Grey is basically Twilight. And they literally had to change the names. E.L. James literally had to change the names of the characters and shit. Like, be for real. I think that's crazy. But it makes sense, because it's like the parallels between the two, you can't ignore them. Like, it's like you have the dude that's emotionally unavailable, and at one point he literally tells Anna, stay away from me. And she's like, if a dude ever tells me to stay away from him, I'm gonna be like, sir, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna stay out your face completely and leave it alone. And if he tries to come back after that, I'm gonna be like, per our last conversation, you told me to stay away from you, and I know how to take a warning. I know what a red flag looks like, okay? And so that's all that it would take. But the fact that they were going back and forth on this, like, absolutely not. I was very surprised that she was even willing to go back and forth on that. Like, no, there's so many things wrong with that. And look at me, I'm literally digressing. Hopefully it's not a problem. If not, just fast forward. I'll put little timestamps so we can jump around a little bit maybe, but I'm upset about this because 50 Shades of Grey. But it is a comfort movie, because like I said, it takes me back. I don't want to say 50 Shades of Grey is a childhood trope for me, or not a childhood trope, a childhood memory for me, but I guess it's like adolescence. It reminds me of me and my adolescence, which was somewhat of a vibe, so I like to watch it sometimes. Anyways, moving forward, so for the list of normal movies, we have Goonies. Okay, those little motherfuckers running around, and they're underneath the city, underneath their small town, trying to find a hidden treasure. Are you kidding me? Sign me up. I thought that was it's definitely a comfort movie. It was such a good vibe, such a good time. I literally wanted with all of my heart a Goonies childhood, but I was quite literally allergic to everything. And so my mom was like, no, you're keeping your ass inside. And my mom is the type of girly that likes to watch true crime, and is still till this day. Like, if you call her and don't leave a message, she'll be like, this bitch has gotten murdered. And it's honestly, like, it's really bad like that. And now I'm paranoid like that, so that's great. Howl's Moving Castle. I don't classify myself as an anime girly, because the only reason I don't classify myself as an anime girly, because anytime a dude is like, oh, do you watch anime? And I have to preface, like, because if they start quizzing me and shit, I'm gonna be like, damn, like, no, I haven't seen that one. No, I haven't watched that one. But it's like, I do on occasion enjoy good anime, and Howl's Moving Castle is one of those for me. It's just such a vibe. I feel very relaxed watching it. And I know whenever I'm down in the dumps, that is on repeat. That is on replay. It turns off. I hit the little restart button, and we're going again. Girls Trip is definitely a feel-good movie. It's just funny. And what's his name? Kofi, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but that's enough right there to cure anybody's depression. Just fine, just handsome, and not even in a way that's like a super sexual way, but in a that's like actually a very beautiful gentleman. Legally Blonde is a comfort movie for me, because it's like, I love that. I love the idea of girls girling, girls girl bossing, girls doing their best. Granted, her intention of going to Harvard and stuff in the beginning was a little bit like for a man boo, but then it turned out really good, because she learned a lot about herself. She learned that she was capable of being more than just a pretty girly, you know? And I loved that for her, and she was so sweet, and it makes me like, I don't know, like I don't consider myself the super girly type, but Legally Blonde is a reason why I feel like I love the super girly type, because I'm like, oh, you so cute and sweet, all, you know, gussied up and shit to go to class. You better work, girl. The Haunted Mansion, the one with Eddie Murphy, I love the one with Lakeith Stanfield too, but I think it's like I said, one of those things again where it's like a childhood thing, where it's like, ooh, I remember this used to creep me the fuck out as a kid, and it still does. That intro still kind of has me a little bit on edge. It still has me a little bit like, ooh, like sometimes I'll go to watch, y'all, my foot has completely fallen asleep. I'm sitting on the floor, by the way. I feel like it's giving me really good comfort vibes, really good, like, but now I kind of regret it because this whole leg, oh, and when the tingles start, that is gonna fucking suck. But I'm digressing. But yeah, the Haunted Mansion, I remember I used to want to watch it all the time, and it's just such a vibe. Loved it. Eddie Murphy is fucking hilarious. It's nice, wholesome, spooky vibes, and I can get into it. And Coraline. And I feel like I have mixed reviews. The only reason that I put it on the normal movies is because I think that it's very whimsical. I feel like this would be considered a common comfort movie for people. Have a safe New Year's. If you have any New Year's resolutions, please list them down below. And if you have any comfort movies that you like to watch, list them down below. Whether they're unhinged, cringy, or cheesy, or they're, I don't know, I guess considered normal feel-good movies. Okay, have a good one. Y'all be safe, please, during the holidays, during this New Year's Eve madness. And have you ever thought, never mind. Oh my gosh, see, I'm digressing again. Have a great day. Have a good day. Bye.